and welcome to another exciting episode of the show called One Step. Let's talk about the journey, where we like to share incredible stories of entrepreneurs, business owners, and innovators who have taken bold steps into their life journeys. I'm your host, Joel Bennett, and today we have a truly inspiring guest with us. We are thrilled to bring you the story of Meica Miller, a remarkable woman who transitioned from the glamorous world of modeling to the dynamic and challenging field of financial brokerage. Meica's journey is a perfect example of resilience, adaptability, and the pursuit of passion. We will explore her early days as a model, which I'm super excited about, might I say. The pivotal moments that led her to switch careers and how she is making waves in the financial industry. Today, that is. From the runways and photo shoots to financial planning and investment, Meica's story is one of transformation and determination. We will delve into the highs and lows, the lessons learned, and key takeaway from her unique path. Whether you are considering a career change, looking for motivation, or simply curious about the world of financial brokerage, this episode is going to be packed with insights and inspiration. So sit back and relax and get ready to be inspired by Meica Miller's incredible journey. Welcome, Meica, to the show called One Step. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Joel. Thank you so much for that introduction.
It's a privilege to have you. And like I usually do with all my guests, I'm going to throw in an icebreaker, just to set the mood and the tone of the show going forward. So, Meica, What's the most interesting place you have ever traveled to, and what made it memorable?
Most interesting, I would have to say, is India, New Delhi.
That is interesting.
That is interesting, right? And what made it so interesting is obviously it's a third world country and it's scary, of course, traveling to a place as such. And I just had the most amazing experience. I felt safe. I got to see a lot of temples. I got to serve people food. It was just a great experience overall, and it just makes you appreciate home so much more as well.
What was the weather like there?
I went during February, which is their winter, and it was like 15 degrees Celsius, so it wasn't like our winter up here in Canada, of course. And then I left just at the beginning of April, and it was starting to get very hot. So they were starting to get into their summer season already.
Canada have a high intake of individuals from that particular country. And I mean, I was told that it's overpopulated. Is that true? Is there a lot of people there?
Absolutely true. Like from the time you step out of the airport, it is packed. There's people on the street, they're sleeping on the street, they're living on the street.
Oh, really? Wow.
There's traffic 24/7 because it's overpopulated. So there's no such thing as rush hour. It's rush hour all day. Yeah.
And that's absolutely amazing. I would have never thought of that location. I was hoping to, because you're a model, I'm hoping to hear Paris, France, somewhere in Italy or something, but India, that's an interesting one. So sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say one of my first international contracts, which of course models expect to go to Paris and France, and those are definitely on the list too, but my first opportunity just happened to be India. So
maybe as we go along, I'll find out more places that you rendezvous to as well.
Absolutely.
So let's get into your modeling career. Tell us about your background and how you got started in modeling.
Absolutely. So my background, basically how I ended up in the modeling industry when I was 14, 15, I've always thought of being on the runway and just being a runway model, of course, growing up and seeing like Tyra Banks show or Naomi Campbell. And as I was 14 and 15, I was working at McDonald's, and I actually got scouted at McDonald's. A lady approached me and asked me how tall I was and gave me her card and said I should consider modeling. And then when I was out in West Edmonton Mall, I also got stopped in my tracks and told that I should be modeling. So that's kind of what really started everything. And when I was 18 is when I really got into it, because I have Caribbean parents and they were very much so wanting me to go on the path of you go to school, you get a good job. Modeling is not a real career. And so, of course, when I turned 18, I had to take things into my own hands, and I started that myself. I actually called one of the cards that I received when I was 15. And that's how my journey started. Just an agency out here in Calgary that took me on and started that career for me.
So just in case we have any interested women or young women out there listening and is also curious about the modeling world, you mentioned that the individual, the recruiter, I'm assuming, right? Yes. Made reference to your height and other aspect. Is there specific features that they're looking for to say, hey, you fit that class or category of potentially being a model? What were they looking for back then? What was your height back then, and what is it? You probably know more than me, so go ahead and tell us.
I would say back then I was probably 5'8", and they're really just looking for tall, unique looking individuals. But honestly, Joel, the modeling industry has been evolving, which is a good thing, because we know typically being a Barbie looking type of person is the general way that they want to go. But this day and age, they're being a lot more inclusive. Like, you can be short, you can be a little thicker, you can I've literally walked in shows with people who have had prosthetics, or someone in a wheelchair has walked runway with me as well. So it's good to see that it's evolving, because every little girl is going to look up to other older girls, right? Not everyone looks the same. So you want to find someone that might look like you. So it's a really good thing that they're evolving.
And I'm totally happy to hear that too, because I know how much the modeling industry affects women's self-esteem. So to see that they're now more open-minded to, be more welcoming of other features apart from the Barbie description that you just used, that's evolution in the right direction, I would say. So what were some of the highlights and challenges of your modeling career, you would say?
Yeah, so some highlights, of course, was being able to travel and model and not just stay in your local city. Like we started off with, I've been to India, I've been to Mexico. I have a contract for Colombia and one for New York. So it's been cool that I get to travel and see the world and cross things off my bucket list, as well as, enjoy what I do and not just in my own country. Challenges, of course, being in the industry, there are some old ways that, of course, we're starting to get rid of, but the modeling industry being, thin and maybe not having the best diet to keep a thin body type, which for me, I was blessed with the genes that I have, being tall and skinny. And so I never really had to go through being judged a lot on my body type per se, but I've definitely ran into situations where I was told I do need to gain more weight, or I need to maybe get a breast reduction because some areas in the world like smaller breasts or certain things like that. So I've definitely gone through challenges of, is my body type okay? Like, what do I need to change about myself? But what it's made me learn is I'm perfect the way I am. I'm perfect the way God made me. And if someone doesn't like that, then it's not the job for me. And I can find someone who does like that.
you made reference to diet. I have to ask, what are models expect? What are describe their dietary needs to maintain the expected body figure and image that the industry might be asking for? I have to ask that question where food is concerned because I know that must have been really tough.
Absolutely. I mean, in hindsight, people think, healthy diet, working out like 5 times a week, all of that. But in my own journey, I've just met girls who will starve themselves or not eat, or, try and find a different outlet that doesn't allow them to eat. It could be certain medications, it could be certain habits that restrict them from eating so then they don't gain weight. So, yeah.
So let's set this stone. Currently, you are still modeling. Are you still in that industry?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so just wanted to establish that so we don't step on any toes going forward, because this is still a part of your career path. Now, what skills did you develop during your modeling career that you found transferable to other fields, you would say?
Absolutely. I would say my confidence has grown immensely from being in modeling, of course, and getting used to rejection, which I feel like is such a transferable skill because now working in finance, I'm in the industry where people can say no to me or not want my help. And that's okay because I've been to a lot of jobs or castings where they don't want me and I've had to get used to that really fast. So that would be one of the major ones.
All right, let's dig a bit deeper, Meica. You mentioned your confidence level. Can you expand on that a bit more?
Of course. So, of course, getting into the industry when you're new, you're not confident at all. You're learning how to walk in heels. You're learning how to present yourself at jobs. You're learning how to answer the right questions when you're getting scouted. And I know when I started, when I was 18, I had to work on my walk. I had to work on my posture. I wasn't very confident in my walk. And I feel like that's the first thing people notice, especially when you're doing runway or photo shoots too. You're not confident in what you're doing and certain poses to do. And so it's been 10 years now for me that I've been in the modeling industry. And now I would say I'm like a seasoned pro. When I go to a photo shoot, I know exactly what to do. I know exactly what they're looking for. When I go to runway shows, I know exactly what my walk is. If the designer tells me it's going to be a slow walk this time, it's going to be fast, I know how to adjust immediately. So knowing what to do, of course, lets your confidence grow in yourself too. And then also just getting used to like how you look. And of course, being at 18, you're not really fully grown into what you're going to look like as an adult. And so, of course, growing into myself as well and what I look like and being happy with how I look and how I feel has also added to my confidence.
Would you say for aspiring models, should they have an end game strategy where this path, a career or profession is concerned?
An end game? I mean, I feel like one of the biggest misconceptions with modeling is that people can do it completely full time and that's it. And I used to think the same thing when I was younger, but that's not the case. Especially for models coming up in Canada, I feel our opportunity is a little bit limited because we're not in that US market as of yet. So it's always good to have a fallback career, something else that you're passionate about on the side. That's what I've learned in my career, at least, because it's not going to just fully pay the bills right off the bat.
Making the comparison to US and Canada, why is the Canadian market economy for models not as good? In your opinion, I guess, because I'm sure there must be lots of reasons.
Honestly, I think it's just the marketing and like what companies that we have out here to get jobs. And as you can imagine, a lot of the stores or places that we shop are all based in the States. And so there are only so many in Canada that we have out here. And so especially growing up in Alberta, the place you want to be in Canada to get a lot of opportunity in Canada is the East Coast or the West Coast, so BC or Ontario, Montreal. Those places are very busy if you're lucky enough to get in with the right people, of course. But obviously you can imagine your opportunity in the States is much bigger because there's LA, there's New York, there's so many more places that have opportunity.
Oh, okay. I see. All right. So let's transition, or let's pivot into the financial industry. So what inspired you to make the transition from modeling to financial broker?
Well, Joel, the transition, I'll tell you what my pivoting point was. So for me, my backup plan was working at Scotiabank. I worked for a government bank, and I had always worked there part-time while pursuing my modeling career. And while I was working for them, I actually went out and did a little birthday party for myself, and I had an accident where I broke my pelvis, my femur, and my sacrum, and I had to relearn how to walk. And in that situation, Joelle, only being at a workplace where I had work benefits, I got to experience the financial struggles that accident brought on with not being able to work, not being able to bring in an income, and of course, not being able to go model and work jobs to also bring in an income until I recovered. And in that moment, I was literally sitting there thinking, there has to be other resources out in this country that can help people out financially when they're in this type of situation. And in that moment, I actually had someone reach out to me and tell me about this opportunity where I can educate myself, but also educate others. And that was the pivoting point of looking at my life and saying, what are you actually doing aside from modeling that's bringing value to people, that's serving a purpose in this world? And I knew from that point on, hearing the opportunity, that I needed to make a switch. I needed to be doing something more fulfilling that was going to bring purpose to others, but also better my own life as well.
Okay. You mentioned you had an accident. So how long were you out for during that stage?
Yeah, well, funny story there. I had the accident in May of 2021. And Joelle, I had a fashion show in November 2021. And so I was very determined that I need to still be in that fashion show. So honestly, if you ask my surgeons, my physio, and all the team that helped me get back on my feet, I was very determined. I healed quickly compared to what others would have healed to. And so because of my determination and the push that I gave myself of, you need to be walking again. And not only do you need to be walking normally, you need to be walking in heels again.
Wow.
I would say 4 or 5 months from when I was literally bedridden, I was then walking on my own again.
You managed to pull that off just to get back on your feet. Wow, that is. And there was a therapy session during that. You had someone one-on-one to kind of rehabilitate you back on your feet for the entire time, that is.
Oh, absolutely. And even past that, I was in physio for 2 years as well, and chiro and physio and check-ins with my surgeon. I also had another surgery after that November show. So yeah, it was quite the journey.
Man, that's impressive. Totally impressive. Okay. So what steps did you take to educate yourself and to gain the necessary qualifications in the financial industry? I mean, I know you have experience because you were working at the bank part-time, but was there anything else?
Of course. So another misconception I feel like there is because I have that banking background, a lot of people did think, oh, she had this knowledge prior. But believe it or not, Joel, I did not know a thing of what I learned. based on working at a bank. And I also had a degree in business, and I also had nothing in there that would have helped me to where I'm at now. So the necessary steps that I took, of course, was finding that amazing brokerage that would take me under their wings, and I would actually learn directly from mentors and leaders that have done this before me, but also getting the proper certification, so a government license with whatever province that you're in. And then honestly, just getting in the industry and sitting with people. And that's the best way to learn, is in real life, and sit down and hear people's financial issues and bring them those solutions.
So are you confessing that even with a first class education, it still was not enough to, give you that foundation to scaffold yourself into the business or career that you are now in? Is that the reality, Meica?
That is absolutely the reality. It's a sad one, but it's true.
I mean, of course, nothing can replace experience. When we still need to, tertiary institutions still plays their role. But you're totally correct. That is one world, but the real world is when you're actually in it. So it's good hearing you say that firsthand. So within that time, I'm sure that you were still modeling part-time. So how did you balance that with your current business as a financial broker?
Absolutely. So honestly, the balance got easier and better with my current financial position, because I stepped into a role of entrepreneurship where I have control of my schedule, I have control of my time. So when I was working for a bank, I had to ask for the time off. I had to say, hey boss, I literally just got a modeling gig this day. Can I take that day off? Or, hey, are you okay if I book time off for a month to go pursue a modeling contract in a different country? Whereas now I get to set up my schedule and also still bring my work with me as well, because I work remotely. I can hop on a Zoom call and help my clients out the same way, no matter where I'm at in the world. So work-life balance has been a lot better because I have the control.
I would have never thought that. Okay. So you still travel, you still have clients that you're responsible for, and you still have a family that you balance with all of that.
Absolutely.
And you're saying that it's better than when you were just working in the banks full time.
Correct.
I need to find out this business or this pathway into where you are at, because I need a structure that's very much similar. But before I digress, let's move on. So what were the initial challenges you faced when starting out your career as a financial broker?
Some initial challenges were allowing people to know what I do is probably the initial challenge. Of course, having those family and friends that know you know that I worked for a bank, and then that I modeled. So then when I came to them and said, hey, I'm going to be starting my own business, I'm going to be personally educating people on finances. Some were very supportive immediately, but some were very taken back and were like, wait, what? How do you all of a sudden, you're going to be the one educating? And so just getting people to understand what I know and to trust me, to, of course, handle their finances and to guide them on the right path was definitely an initial challenge that I had.
Okay. Then I have to follow up. How did you overcome all of that then? What was your strategy?
Absolutely. My strategy was just talking to enough people that would give me the time of day to hear what I had going on. And then once you start helping someone and, they go tell their family or their friends what I did for them, then it starts to, create that trust and, that referral source of, hey, Meica knows what she's doing. She helped me do this. You should sit down and talk to her. So of course, once again, in life, real life experience is how I
Yeah.
overcame it, by just doing it and, looking for the people that are looking for me.
Currently, Meica, are you using any technology to build that scope, or skill set that you have, or even to reach clients or let other individuals know what you do and the knowledge and skill set that you have? Do you have any tech tool that you use in that regards, or have you been researching any?
Other than like social media and of course
Yeah.
just using all the platforms that you can, I've only recently sat with a marketing specialist who is
Okay.
helping me build a site for myself where people can go check it out and see, okay, what can Meica help me with? And then like
Yeah.
inquiring themselves. So I've only been starting to dabble in other ways that I can use technology to, get my name out there, get my brand out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, there's quite a few out there, but I'll let that be your homework.
Yes.
But there's quite a few out there that can build on what you already have. So can you share a few strategies that were particularly effective?
Absolutely. I would say, the most nerve-wracking part of anybody starting a business is, of course, having to
Yeah.
market yourself. And so, a strategy that I had was, committing to putting something out there on social media every week, or
Yeah.
getting yourself in the community where you,
Yeah.
create an event where it's like a introduction to me, and trying to get as many people out as you can to hear you and to, feel your vibe and actually meet you, have been some of the strategies that have been super effective, because the more people I meet, the more people that get to know me, of course, it only goes up from there, right? And they can decide if I like this girl, I want her help,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
maybe we don't vibe and you don't want my help.
I like that. I truly do like that. So let's get into some insights now, Meica. What are some of the key financial principles or advice that you believe everyone should know?
I love this question. Some of the key financial principles or advice that everyone should know for sure
Yeah.
is, a lot of people I find, like, of course, being in the industry, feel like maybe there's no help out there for them, or maybe I should just go to my local bank and try and find help. And that's not always the case. I've seen it obviously firsthand being at the bank, but if someone or maybe something you see online, and it's some information that you've been searching for help, don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there that you need the help, because more than likely you're not the only one, and other people are in the same shoes as you. And so if I want to get into specifics of financial principles, I definitely recommend to everyone that you should try and find a financial professional to sit down and talk to you about your financial goals and what they are, so that you guys can together formulate a plan to hit those goals. And I know I never really thought about that for myself, surprisingly or not, being in finances. I never thought, I need to think about these things, because of course, being in your 20s and coming up, you think, oh, I'll worry about that stuff later on in life. Like, I don't need to worry about that. But my accident made me realize that life can be very short. It can be taken away from you very fast. And it's never too early to start thinking about these things.
Is it possible, Meica, for you to give us a little more insights into what we should be doing on the financial front? One, to be proactive where situations like that is concerned, and two, for long term. What advice would you give? Let's say, use me as a scenario. I'm your clients. What advice would you give me? I just meet you. I just start to talk about my financial life, my financial situations, my short-term and long-term goals. Is there any insights that you can give us right now, in terms of for us to be prepared, that is?
Yeah, I mean, I can list off some specific ones. Like, I have a list for you here. So, short term,
You
long term.
short term, long term.
Short term, long term. Joel, you should definitely have personal protection in place, no matter what. No matter what your workplace has, and you think you're covered there, personal protection is number one. Two, if you're saving, make sure you're investing, because investing is going to get you a lot closer to your goals than just saving money, right? And then, of course, budgeting. Budgeting is a big one that I find a lot of people don't do. And you know what? I can be totally transparent and say I never did that before getting into this industry. I didn't think twice about setting myself a budget and trying to stay within it. So that's super important, especially this day and age with cost of living and everything going up. Things can tend to get out of hand.
I think it's a struggle for all, I'm gonna say, where budgeting is concerned. And so the hope is that as time progresses, Meica, we would like to have you on the show to have discussions on budgeting, because I know it's a topic to itself, and I know that there are individuals out there who would love some insights as to how to do that and do it well, because we try. Let me just use myself, because I don't want to go generalize now. I try, but sometimes, it's not always perfect. And again, I'll go back to technology. I'm sure there are tools out there that we can make use of. I mean, AI is becoming a huge topic of discussions now. And there are lots of AI tools out there that we can use. I mean, in addition to getting advice from the human aspect of things, which is the person I'm talking to right now. And so hopefully we'll get to have a topic of discussion on budgeting itself. So what advice, Meica, would you have to someone looking to transition into the financial consulting from a different field, similar to your situation or scenario? What advice do you have for those aspiring individuals?
Yeah, absolutely. One really good piece of advice I have for people is, whenever you're going to go into a different field than what you're normally used to, it's going to be scary. You don't know anything. You don't know what you're doing yet. And that's okay. Give yourself grace, because obviously when we get into the workforce in general, we have to learn first before we become knowledgeable, before we become good at something. So give yourself grace, because what I find is a lot of people that do transition over, they might give up too quickly because they're doubting their abilities, they're doubting their skills, they're doubting their knowledge, but you're learning. And so don't give up and keep pushing through it, because it's only going to get better. You're only going to get better.
You made reference to skills. Any essential skills or knowledge area they should focus on?
In this field specifically, your best bet is just getting in the field with whoever your mentor or leadership is and doing things hands-on in real life. Because yes, we can read a textbook. Yes, we can take tests and exams, but nothing's really gonna instill in you until you're physically doing it yourself. And so that was it for me. Was I just got on a lot of meetings immediately in my career where I was sitting with real people with real issues, and that was the best way for me to get better at something.
You mentioned you were also mentored, right?
Yes.
Is there any platform or direction that you can give for someone who possibly wants to reach out to someone to mentor them in progressing in the very same profession that you are in?
Yeah, absolutely. Me.
Yes,
not just me, of course the mentors that I learned from too as well. So get in touch with me if you want to learn more about it and just even see what does that apprenticeship look like for yourself.
And now that you have point fingers at yourself, can you share where individuals can find you, follow you for support, or to get some insights in this particular journey?
Yeah, absolutely. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Meica Miller is the name. It's super simple. Um, you can find me on all three. I'm also on LinkedIn. And so
Mhm.
I'm everywhere if you need to find me.
And just for a side note, we'll put Mika's locations, social media platforms in our comment section for those who want to reach out to her for consultation, in addition to mentorship. So Mika, what message do you hope to send to others looking to change career or start their own business?
That's a good question. I love it. I want to say that when you're starting any career or starting your own business or switching careers, you definitely want to just, I said this already, but not give up. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a roller coaster. And you just need to listen to the ones that have done it before you, because they're literally teaching you everything you need to know in the game, and so that you can do it better and avoid certain mistakes that they have already made. And when you feel like you failed in something or task that you're doing, and you get back up and you try again, that's what you're supposed to do. Failing means that you're growing and you're moving forward. It doesn't mean that you should just stop in your tracks and give up and go try something else, because the same thing's going to happen. So you got to push through it.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. I'm trying to remember, Mika, did I ask you what services you offer? Just in case we have potential clients here watching this show.
No, you did not ask me, but I would love to.
No, it's a good question. Yeah, go ahead.
Great question. So being a broker, we specialize in many areas. So I can help with all things insurance. I can help with all things investing, everything debt reduction if you need help with debt, everything from mortgages to funeral estate planning, literally you name it, and I can probably help you out with it.
Okay, and on your social media websites or any other platforms you're on, these directives are there for persons to kind of pick you out for what they're looking for.
Absolutely.
We can find that on your social media pages, right?
Absolutely. I talk about every topic that I possibly can. So if you're on my socials and you're scrolling, you'll probably find something you're curious about.
Perfect. Any advice for aspiring entrepreneurs and consultants?
Yes. Being an entrepreneur myself, you really have to focus on personal development in your life, because being an entrepreneur, you need to change yourself. You're going to grow into the best version of yourself. It is definitely different from being an employee. And so there are things that you need to master, which I feel like you need to master your mind. Your mind is so powerful in how you perceive anything and how you're going to play out anything and how your actions are going to follow and your behaviors. So focusing on personal development is going to be so key in you pursuing whatever it is in entrepreneurship that you're going to.
Okay, thank you for that, Mika. So let's get into Mika's business a little bit more before we wrap up. What are your future plans as a financial broker?
My future plans is to have a growing, expanding team where we can help a lot more people in this country, figure out their own finances and become financially independent and just be knowledgeable, because I don't feel like our country does a really good job of teaching that in schools, whether it's, at the end of high school or even in post-secondary, when you literally go to take finances, as I did with myself.
Yeah.
So giving people the right education and allowing people to be more privy to tools that are being used by the people that we call our 1%ers.
Yeah.
A lot of the tools that they use are just not out there for the general public. And that's what my aim is as a broker, is to get that information out there for all.
Are there any new projects or goals on the horizon for you, Meica?
Yes. So I actually am in the works of creating a radio show.
Oh, really?
Well, I should say being on a radio show with a specific segment
Okay.
about finances with a couple other co-brokers of mine on my team. And it's set to start in August. And
Yeah.
if anybody wants to tune into that, it's Just FM Radio. It's actually based out of Lethbridge, Alberta, but it is live streamed all over the world. And so that is a new project that I
That's
will be
interesting.
doing, right? 1 hour every week. You will
Mhm.
find me and my two co-brokers on that show and just giving you guys everything you need to know.
So it's a radio show, not a podcast, or is there? Is it a radio show and podcast, or just a radio show?
I would say both, because he also has like the YouTube segment where he
Yeah.
posts on there after,
Right.
right? But we're also broadcasted on the radio as well.
Yeah. Okay, I'll put that link in our comment section too as well. So what is your long-term vision for your career and personal life, if that's a question that you can answer?
Right? Okay, long term, I honestly want to be that boss, big CEO of my financial firm, of course. In terms of the financial realm, I just want to run an amazing, successful company that, really focuses on educating people. And in terms of modeling, honestly, I just want to be able to model as long as possible, as long as God will let me live, because I enjoy it so much. And if it takes me to being a big name like Naomi Campbell or Tyra Banks, then great. But if not, I still enjoy it every time I get the opportunity to. And I just love, being that center of attention where I'm either on the runway or maybe I'm shopping in a store and I see my poster up modeling their clothes. It's great for me either way.
And there you have it, folks. An incredible journey from the fashion world to the financial industry, all wrapped up in Meica Miller's inspiring story. From navigating the glitz and glamour of modeling to mastering the complexities of financial brokerage, Meica's path is a powerful reminder that with determination and adaptability, we can achieve remarkable transformations in our lives. I hope Meica's journey has sparked some inspiration and perhaps even motivated you to pursue your own dreams, no matter how different they may seem from the current path. Remember, it's never too late to pivot, to learn, and to grow. If you have a passion or goal, take that first step, just like Meica did. I'd like to extend a huge thank you to Meica Miller for sharing her story with us today. If you would like to learn more about Meica and her work in the financial industry, be sure to check out the links and resources provided in the show notes. Thank you for joining us and the episode of the show called One Step. Let's talk about the journey. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave us a review, and share this content with your friends and family. Your support helps us to bring more inspiring stories to listeners like yourself. Meica, any final words before we go?
No, Joel, I just want to thank you so much for having me. And I hope, today was inspiring to someone, or at least motivated them to go after whatever it is that they want. And that can come in any type of opportunity. You just have to go after it.
I believe it will, Meica, and bear in mind this is going to be blasted on all social media platforms. And I'm sure there are individuals out there who have been waiting for, a similar story to this, something to lift their spirits. and to get them on the pathway for their own self-development. My name is Joel Bennett. It's been a privilege to have you, Meica. Thank you so much for coming on. Guys, you have an amazing day. It is Friday, right? Happy Friday, everyone. You all have a good weekend. Take care and bye.